The following program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.
Years ago, I shot 10 bags of heroin every day. Heroin is a beast, and that beast has infiltrated every town and city in America. In 2016, 64,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose of opioids. I hope that the stories we bring you on this show save lives in 2018. I'm Ritchie Farrell. I'm a heroin addict.
Hi, welcome to I'm a Heroin Addict. My name is Jasmine, and I am a heroin addict. It's an honor to be here with you tonight. Thank you for sharing your time with us. We have a really awesome show in store for you, and I want to just take a minute to introduce Bobby. For those of you that don't know Bobby, Bobby is going to be the co-host of the show now, which is really cool because I've known Bobby for a while, and we do a lot of different things together. So it's awesome to bring your energy and your experience in on the show.
You know, I'm happy to be here, happy to share, experience with the people, strength, hope, and talk to some really cool people.
Right.
Doing some really, really cool things in the community and, doing whatever they can to help.
It's what it's about. That's really what it's about, helping and helping out the community too, especially in southern New Hampshire where we are, you know what I mean? Yeah. The community is in dire need of help.
Yeah, it's it's really a struggle. It's to get anybody some help. It's not a quick you're in, it's a half a day, a full day of calling, and oddly enough in the summer too, which usually I've never run into that problem, but it's there's too many people who need help and not enough beds.
Right. Not enough money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's tough to see, but hopefully people start noticing, making differences, and really doing something about it.
Well, that's what we're here for. That's what we're here to do. Yeah. So. Yeah. You want to introduce our guest today?
Yeah. So today we have Jonathan. Jonathan originally from the North Shore, now up in the Manchester and Concord area, doing some really cool things, and
trying.
I've heard you have an amazing story, so why don't you just kind of tell us about
just get right into it.
Yeah, how you got into the field, into recovery, that kind of thing.
All right. So Jasmine promised me that the nerves would go after a few minutes.
They do.
Oh yeah,
they
no,
do.
just relax.
So check in with me.
Yeah.
In 20 minutes.
I'll be all right.
So I'm from the North Shore, Massachusetts. I grew up an hour away from Manchester, but I had never been in Manchester in my life, so I really started fresh. But drugs and alcohol were a lot of trouble for me since I picked up. I picked up when I was 12 or 13 years old, and a lot of experience in treatment. By 14 years old, I was drinking every day in school. And the school actually recommended to my family that I go to treatment. So when I was 14 years old, I was packed up and sent up to northern New Hampshire, a place that used to be called Beach Hill. It's on a mountain in the middle of nowhere. Okay. And I think it's Phoenix House now, I believe. That's their location. Yeah. So I went up there, and I think from that time, I kind of realized I had a problem. I believe that alcohol and drugs was a problem for me. However, I lived the next 20 years determined to make it work. Yeah. Determined to make it work. And I did become an IV, heroin and cocaine user by 17 years old.
Wow, so that progressed quickly for you.
Yeah, from first shooting at 14 to shooting coke and dope at 17. That's
Do you mind? I'm going to ask anyway, so I don't even know why I asked. Do you mind? How old are you?
I'm 33 now.
33. Okay, so at 17, so you said you had carried on that journey for 20 years, so until you were like 34?
30. I'm 33 now.
Oh, I'm great at math. So what age did you get sober at?
31.
31. Okay.
So I drugs and alcohol beat the blank out of me. I don't know if we swear on here. So
we try not to.
Okay, so I'm trying. but it got me over and over and over again. I made
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
many decisions. I'm gonna stop. I'm done. And you know, and I was able to get time. I was able to put some time together.
Okay.
You know, in my mid-20s, I was abstinent for, you know, 5.5 years.
Okay.
But I was a lost soul. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was a lost soul. I was trying to. I was chasing all the things that I thought life was about.
Yep.
Career, some money in my pocket, all that kind of, you know, superficial attitudes. You know, I was lost. I didn't know who I was.
Just
so-
the things that society says you're okay if you
Right.
have.
Right. You know, like I think you mentioned in the last program, you know, no identity, no real identity.
Yeah.
And then I would put the drugs and alcohol down, and I still had no identity. So, so inevitably, I just kept picking up
Yeah.
after all these times, and it's just as much as you might know about yourself. Somebody told me, you know, self-knowledge avails nothing, and that is 100% my case. You know, I was incarcerated as a child. I was incarcerated as an adult. Massachusetts has some nice section laws, Section 12,
I wish New
Section
Hampshire did.
35. That's a whole long discussion, but
Yeah.
There's so many times that, like, for instance, like my little brother, like he just needed help, and like there was no help. Like he tried to kill himself one time, and the emergency room wouldn't take him because he had drugs in his system, and they were like, "This is drug induced," and I was like, "Who are you to say that?"
right. Right.
So, I have a question then. The whole sectioning thing. Do you really think it does a whole lot of good? Like, do people really turn themselves around? Because I was always led to believe, and like I even believe it for myself, like I didn't get it until I really wanted it.
I mean, it didn't work for me.
Yeah.
I mean, so when you're released, I had the opportunity to go to Bridgewater when they still did
Yep.
it there, and you know, the Department of Corrections dropped me off at a train stop, and I was drunk as soon as I got to downtown Boston.
Yeah.
Could it have saved my life for that period of time? Maybe. I don't know. You know what I mean? Things were not good when I got there.
Yeah.
Maybe something could have happened in that, you know, couple months that I was there. You know, so
Yep.
maybe it did something. I don't know.
Right.
Okay.
But
That's how I feel about MAT.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know, I'm certainly not for MAT, just based on my own experience and, you know, the experiences that I've seen others have, but there's a very good chance that I wouldn't be alive today if I wasn't on that for the 3 years that I was.
Right.
No.
Right.
So,
Right.
you know.
Yep. To each his own. I mean, I know
Right.
what's right for me right now.
Right,
I
yeah.
mean, not to say I haven't been on, you know, MAT programs before in my life, and it probably got me to where I am today.
Right.
I'm sure it did. So.
No, I get it. There's so many different paths.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And whatever you got to do to keep going.
Yeah. Yeah. I've tried everything. I found something that works for me today.
Yeah. And what is that?
That 12-step.
Okay.
It's a 12-step program. I live it. It's the most important thing to me.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
number one.
Which is really cool, actually, because I don't really know you personally, so
Right.
that was a really exciting thing about having you on the show, because we are in like the same community of
Right.
individuals, and I've seen you around, I've heard about you for such
Yeah.
a long time,
Yeah.
and so like you're sitting here like describing who you were, and I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Because like that's what recovery does for people. Like you're sitting in front of me, and like not that success matters, but like you're successful, and like it's true and it's genuine and it comes from the heart, and like you're clean and you're put together, and most importantly, like I know for a fact that you help many people.
I try.
And that's what it's about. And I would have never, the individual that you described to me as who you were in an active addiction, I would have never pieced together that that's who's sitting in front of me.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it's insane. It really is. It's just the amount that people can change. You know, and I'm sure you've seen it through helping others too, and seeing what they
yes.
can do.
Yes, and that inspires me and keeps me going.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
When you see others start to get well.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my
Yeah.
God, isn't it amazing?
And it's usually fairly quick. It's
Yes.
like this fairly quick turnaround. You look at them and you're like, something's different.
No.
Something's different.
Know what I find? It's like the ones that are like just like such a pain and so energy draining, and usually I'm like, oh God, it's like I don't know how we're gonna help. Well, first of all, Jazz, like you're not gonna help anyone because you're not that powerful.
No.
Right.
Okay, like you're just
Right.
gonna love them like you're supposed to.
See, the people that do that, it gets to me because like that's me.
They're usually the ones that turn it around.
Yeah,
though.
no, it's just like those are
Yeah.
the kids that I'm like, oh my God, I see so much of myself in you.
Yeah.
You're just like me.
Yeah.
You're just like me.
Yeah.
And then, you know, there was, what's the thing, what's it called? The pop sound? The pop when your head, no, the pop sounds when your head comes out of your ear.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay.
Yeah.
okay.
And then you kinda get
Bobby,
it.
I'm so proud of you for not swearing the show.
I'm really trying.
Yeah, when he was the guest on the show, it was terrible. He dropped so many F-bombs.
Did I?
Yeah,
I
you
listened
did.
to it. I didn't hear. I didn't.
They might have edited it.
Really?
Yeah, they might have edited it.
Did I really?
But anyway, so okay, so cool. So you had to go through what you had to go through, and you found your way. What are some struggles that you went through during finding your way?
So, to be honest with you, I actually, when I my beginning, I actually didn't think I was going to get sober.
Okay. For those of you watching and don't think that you're going to get sober, let's hear his experience.
So, things are really, really bad. I don't need to get into the graphic details. Things are really, really bad. My mom was diagnosed with a pretty terrible form of cancer, and I was running around on the streets, and I needed to give her some peace. I mean, she has been, ride or die. She has been my biggest fan, no matter what. So I ran to detox, like I always do, to hide out. And somehow through a bunch of events, I found my way up to New Hampshire, and I got sober. Without, like, when I was in that detox, I was taking my medication and everybody else's. Like, I was not there. I was not there thinking I was going to get sober. No. And then, somebody told me that, getting sober is not for people who want it. Getting sober is not for people who need it. It's for people that do it. And luckily, I was put in a situation with some really good role models. And I looked at them and I said, they're really not that much different than me. If they're doing it, I think I can do it too. And that's kind of when my journey started. And before I came on the show, I wanted to, it actually created a really great conversation with my mom, who I've been able to make amends to. We were talking about the idea of, like, enabling, families and stuff. And my mom saved my life many times. And I know a lot of parents out there struggle with, well, am I enabling him? Am I not enabling him? I think the likelihood is that any professional will probably say my mom enabled me in the past. But we both agree she saved my life. She saved my life. She did things that probably some people, would say, oh, you can't do that, shame. But no, she saved my life, 100%. I'm here because of her, and she inspired me to get sober, So it was a really great conversation that this show actually inspired us to have. So thank you for that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's awesome.
So New Hampshire.
New Hampshire.
So you wound up, you went through everything you had to go through, and you wound up, how'd you end up in Manchester?
It just so happened there was a per diem case manager that gave me a little bit of extra time, and I just wanted to use the phone. And she started.
I love the honesty.
She started to talk to me, and she asked me what I've done, and there was this little 12-step sober house that was in Manchester, and it's no longer there anymore. And she had just met with the owner recently, and it just so happened I went there. I was in a lot of legal trouble at the time. I had some
very motivated.
I had some warrants in Massachusetts, so the
As you
idea of coming up to New Hampshire sounded like a good idea too. So, it was just a bunch of events together that brought me up here, and I had no intention of staying up in New Hampshire, none.
Yeah.
But then things started to happen, and I put something together, and friendships and a sense of purpose that inspired me to stay. So here I am. I had no intention of staying in New Hampshire. I like the North Shore. I like the beach.
I agree with you. I'm from Connecticut, man. I always thought, I'm like, I'll stay up in New Hampshire for like 3 months.
Yeah.
Then I'll go back home.
Precisely.
And it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
And I'm still here.
Yeah.
Guys, I can't get away from New Hampshire. I don't want to leave New Hampshire.
Are you from?
Yeah,
originally?
yeah. Everyone's like, "Where are you from?" And I'm like, "I'm just like a gypsy in New Hampshire. Like, I've lived everywhere in New Hampshire, but like, just New Hampshire.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
we have a question. You want to take it away?
Yeah, so the question is from Sarah. What is the first thing someone looking to get help should do? That's a great question. So what do you think?
You're looking at me, so you want me to answer?
It's directed to you.
There's a lot of places to call. You could call in, I imagine, this show, and the people who run this show can connect you to some help. I know New Hampshire has the safe stations that are a great option, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
You probably know quite a bit about that.
Yeah, the safe stations are great just for an immediate community resource.
Yeah.
I mean, the people that work there really care.
Yeah.
You know, and they're going to be able to plug you into something.
Absolutely.
You know, I think it's tough. It's weird, right? Because we've all been in the program for a while now, so we know if somebody calls us asking for help, we know immediately who to call.
Right.
You know, and I never thought about that for like when my family called the first time, they had no idea what they were doing.
Yeah, I mean, there's like recovery centers now.
Yeah.
There's, you know what I mean? There are all kinds of resources out there.
Even though
You just got to reach out. My opinion, the first thing to do for someone that's looking for help, like have them get connected. Get connected. There's resources everywhere. There are people. When I'm not working, I'm volunteering my time to help people, and that's what I'm doing, and that's how I get to stay sober.
even going to meetings.
Anywhere, anything.
No.
In Manchester, there's the nonprofit Hope Center. That's
Yeah.
great. That's great.
Yeah.
I know anybody can walk in there at any time, and
Google's a great resource.
Google.
I Google everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just be aware and just,
I think the fire station is definitely a good first option. They'll provide you with some
Absolutely.
yeah,
information,
100%.
resources. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And there's no like profit driven or anything like
Yeah.
that. So
Right.
they really have the opportunity to
Yeah.
try to figure out what's available and what's best.
So I want to ask
know?
you, are you still nervous?
Not as much.
You loosened
you
up
go.
a little?
Not as much.
There you go.
Okay, cool. So what's life like now?
Life now. So I had went back to my old career, which I didn't even intend on doing that. I repaired a bunch of relationships in my life. Some of those previous employers, and without that being the motive to repair those relationships, I was asked to go back to an old job. I'm a paralegal, and I went back to that for about a year, and it wasn't sitting right with me. It didn't feel right. I hit the ceiling, so to say, in that professional, a while ago, and I wanted to do more. And I am really connected with the recovery community, and some other things seem to be, put in front of me, and it seemed right. So me and my friend operate a sober house in Manchester. It's a 12-step sober house. We're really proud of it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
We need so much more of it in New Hampshire.
We
I
do.
know I had someone text me today, and they were like, "Hey, I need a list of sober houses for Manchester." And I was like, "Shoot, I'm not at work, but I'll just wing what I have off the top of my head." And so I was able to put together, I think 6 sober houses. And then she was like, "No, for women." And I was like, "Oh."
Uh-oh.
I was
Yeah.
like, "There's one that I know of in Manchester."
Yeah.
Well, I
So.
will say, so there was an article written about our house.
Yeah.
I don't know if you're familiar with some.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I saw that.
So, and I want to say that the Manchester Fire Department has been very good to us and very cooperative. But the way the law is written, any house, any home, any dwelling with more than 3 unrelated individuals, the requirements for that house are automatic sprinklers, which is incredibly expensive.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be upwards of $100,000. So a lot of these small sober houses, that collect a nominal weekly rent, that's not within their resources to do that. So I know a lot of sober house owners that are a little bit afraid to be out there
Right.
and advertise because they don't want that backlash from the fire
And
department.
the community needs these houses. They do.
absolutely.
It's just, I hear people talking, right? Like, how can we make a difference? How can we make a difference? And it's like, we need more case managers, or we need more respite beds, right? But what are those people that are getting out of respite, that are getting out of detox? Are you sending them to go live back in the same exact environment that they were just getting high in?
Right.
I know for me personally, right? I couldn't stay sober back home.
Right.
Around the same old people, doing the same old thing. I had to be in an environment that was conducive to sobriety,
Yeah.
that had people that were not only showing me what to do through their actions,
Mentors,
but
role models.
yeah, and they're gonna not co-sign anything that I'm doing.
Right.
You know, because back home, I could connive my family into doing anything.
You need
like,
to cultivate a healthy community.
Yeah,
It
and-
takes a community to get someone well.
exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's just, there's not enough of them.
So what is the outcome?
So, you know, we hope, and there have been some other states that the rulings have come down that a sober house community that lives together like that is more of a family unit.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Which, in my experience of going through sober houses, they literally become your
Right.
family.
Yeah.
So I mean, the worry is like boarding houses, which they consider us a boarding house. I disagree, but they consider us a boarding house. And you know, in a boarding house, you could have locks on all the bedroom doors. You don't know who your neighbor is. So the point, if there was a fire, people are going to save themselves and run out. Their position is that a family unit, a family. They will do more to try to make sure that people get out safely. So, I challenge that because the monitoring at our sober house is far greater than many families. There's no smoking in the house. There's no incendiary devices. There's no candles. There's none of that going on. We have rules and regulations that they have to sign, that they have to abide by. We have 3 house managers monitoring, 24/7. I challenge the idea that we're not as safe as a family.
Furthermore, anyone that is truly invested in their own personal recovery would do anything to help another being.
Right.
No,
Yeah.
It's I've literally been in a sober house where people gave me the shirt off their back.
Yeah.
You know.
So ultimately, this a decision like this, all small sober houses that collect weekly rent would have to be shut down if they wanted to be successful with what they're doing. And I want to make it clear, I have no qualms with the Manchester Fire Department. The chief and the deputy chief have been very good to us. They're doing their job. They're looking at it through the scope of fire, and there's no decision in New Hampshire that considers us a family unit. So, we're exploring a lot of different options.
Good.
We are appealing the decision to the state fire marshal. And I didn't ask for a crusade. But here I am.
Well, sometimes we're given not what we wanted and what we need to do, what our destiny and purpose is.
Absolutely.
So
Absolutely.
yeah.
I believe that 100%. My friends would probably laugh at me because I'm going to say you something you said but sometimes we don't. It's not what we want or something like that. You know the movie Bruce Almighty. Do you know the movie?
Yeah,
I'm a
with
terrible
Jim Carrey.
movie person. Okay.
So Jim Carrey gets the opportunity to play God, and by Morgan Freeman, who really is God. And so Jim Carrey gets all these prayers emailed to him, okay? And finally, he just gets so fed up, he says yes to them all. And the region goes to absolute turmoil and chaos. So he wants to try to fix it, so he runs back to God, who's Morgan Freeman, and he says, I just gave them what they want. And Morgan Freeman looks at him and says, since when do they know what they want?
Right. Oh my God, I have goosebumps right now.
So
oh my
I
God.
watched that movie again when I was, like, I don't know, a month and a half, a couple months in. And when he said that clicked to me so much. I would say that is my strongest spiritual belief and understanding of what my life needs to be. Like, truly, I can't dictate tomorrow or where I'm going. And my experience has shown that things are a lot better when I don't. A lot.
Yes.
So.
100%. I mean, that's just insane.
Yeah.
I love that your spiritual backing is Morgan Freeman. like, I don't disagree with that.
I can totally identify.
Yeah, no, 100%. 100%. But yeah, no, the whole wants versus needs.
Absolutely.
I could want everything under the sun, and it's not going to make me happy.
Absolutely.
All I need really is like human connection, good friends, and like working on myself.
And I found that, and that all takes priority. That's the most important to me. That's part of my recovery, friendships.
Connection. Well,
connections,
yeah, because in my experience, so we went a while without the shows, but recently I lost my job, I lost my place to live, my car got totaled, and so I was put in a position like where I didn't have all these things that I thought that I needed. And what happened for me is like my friends stepped up to the plate. Someone provided me a place to live. Someone loaned me money. Someone gave me a vehicle to, and like, you know what and I didn't even know what I was going to do. I have this amazing job, and like this was not my plan. I was going to stay where I worked forever. I was going to die doing that job because I loved it and I believed in it and I believed in what they do and I still do. I'm going to tell you what, the universe has thrown me on a completely different path and I love it and I believe in what I do. And I'm growing, and there's so much more opportunity. It wasn't what I wanted; it was what I needed. So and all that stuff had to crash and burn to the ground to open the door to all the new possibility.
Absolutely.
So yeah, we have another question though.
You want to read it? You want me to read it?
You read it. You do it.
All right. So where's all the money that the federal government or the states are supplying for the opioid crisis? Honestly, I have no idea.
I'm not educated enough on that to answer that. I mean, I could have. What I will say is that there are lots of resources.
There are.
There are lots of resources.
I mean, coming from Massachusetts, we have a detox on every corner. There's a ton of facilities. Certainly coming up to New Hampshire, it's not even close to what it could be or should be. Hopefully, there will be a lot more facilities and options for people in the future. I don't know. I don't know where the money is going.
Yeah.
I don't know. Awareness?
Maybe we could look into that.
Yeah. Well, everyone should educate, and especially us. Like we are the individuals that have been chosen to walk this path and help other people. Like maybe thank you for the question. We need to educate ourselves.
Yeah.
Right.
And I mean, all I hear is Medicaid rates are dropping. Medicaid reimbursements are dropping. So,
I'm hearing the same thing.
So I don't know.
And it's hard. Yeah, it's harder for facilities to accept
It
Medicaid when they're not even when Medicaid won't even pay literally the cost of housing someone for a day. How you know what I mean? Like it costs money to run these treatment centers. I wish all beds were free, but it costs a lot of money to care for someone. Especially, I don't know, I won't speak on everyone, but I'll share my experience. I was literally crazy coming off drugs.
Oh, 100%.
Crazy. I needed people there. So the show's almost over. Can you believe it?
That's okay.
Can you believe it? It's been a half an hour.
Wasn't bad.
No.
It wasn't. You're not nervous anymore.
No.
Yeah. See, so in 30 seconds, what would you say to someone who's struggling?
Someone who's struggling?
Yeah.
That's a good question.
You got 20 seconds.
I mean, all I can say, I mean, like I said before, I didn't think I could get sober, but I did give myself an opportunity by at least getting into a detox, and something happened there. So I guess if you're struggling, just reach out for help. That's really all I can say, and hopefully something will happen to you like it happened to me.
Yeah.
You know?
So this was an excellent show. Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. It was
Appreciate
great.
it.
I've been a basket case for like a week.
Really? Have you been overthinking it that much?
Thank you guys. We love you all. Thank you.
Years ago, I shot 10 bags of heroin every day. Heroin is a beast, and that beast has infiltrated every town and city in America. In 2016, 64,000 Americans died of an accidental overdose of opioids. I hope that the stories we bring you on this show save lives in 2018. I'm Ritchie Farrell. I'm a heroin addict.
The preceding program was provided by an independent producer solely responsible for its content. The opinions expressed do not necessarily represent the views of this station, its staff, board of directors, or underwriters.